Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have more polling updates. We've got good news regarding Donald Trump's chances. Take a look. Trump, according to Nate Silver's updated forecast, a 53% chance to win, and he's ahead for the first time in a little while. You can see Harris had like a 6 or 7% lead, but Trump's up by about 5 now. He's taken the lead based on some good recent polling, apparently, out of Pennsylvania. And this is exactly what I expected. The polls recently were going to be adjusted. A lot of these forecasts are going to have to be adjusted based on how wrong they've been in 2020 and 2016, underestimating Trump. Now you're seeing as the polls get very, very close, a lot of the models start favoring Trump more. And we just had the DNC. There's absolutely no DNC bounce for Kamala. That was expected. We saw with Poly Market, she was actually going down in terms of overall odds in that. Right now, Poly Market's basically 50-50. It's based off of the polls, and the polls are obviously very close, but you can see the comparison. I mean, you're talking about August 14th, which was, I mean, that's like a week before the DNC and Harris. I mean, she had a 14% lead, and it's been completely eliminated in the span of 2 weeks, even with the DNC happening by Trump. So that just goes to show you people are really not buying what Harris is selling, and you've got these recent polls coming out. You've also got ABC News rejecting Harris's last minute attempt to change the debate rules, which was reported a few days ago. The fact that she wanted, well, originally with Biden, they wanted the mics muted because they said Trump just talked over Biden and it was unproductive. And that's what they got. They got the mics muted. They got the debate in June. Then they came back and they said, now we don't want the mics muted. But the Trump campaign and his advisors, they know it makes him look better with him not talking over anyone, not being obnoxious, and Trump just sticking on task. And so this is good news. So this is all happening before the debate as well. Think about it. You've got all of this great polling data for Trump even before the potential knockout debate. Now, I don't think Trump is going to destroy Harris as bad as he did with Biden. A lot of it was Biden just self-destructing, but I do think there is a lot to hit Harris on when it comes to her doing a complete 180 when it comes to many different policies that her aides have proposed. Not even her, the aides leak it. That's how ridiculous it is. We've also got this random thing that's come out. According to McDonald's, there's no record of Kamala Harris working for them at the time and place that she claims. That's her big story as she tries to relate to people. The Democrats are using this strategy, this idea that Donald Trump is this rich little boy. He's been given everything. Kamala worked from the ground up. She worked at McDonald's. She did the fries, and she says that like at every time she's talking about herself, her life story, she's trying to relate to middle class people. Well, apparently, at least according to McDonald's, they're saying no, there's never been a Kamala Harris that has worked for us. So she possibly even lies when it comes to that. And then we also did have a Quinnipiac poll come out. Now, to be fair to Quinnipiac, it's very obvious they changed their polling at least a little bit just in the way they conduct their polls. I can tell because they're not nearly as crazy liberal as they were in 2020. I mean, 2020, it was so bad. I don't think we have a pollster this year that was as bad as Quinnipiac was in 2020. Quinnipiac was so horrible. Oh my God. But now, I mean, listen, obviously this is great news for Trump. If Harris has the 1 point lead in the recent Quinnipiac poll that was just released, you're going to say, well, Quinnipiac, normally they're a left-wing pollster. They overestimated Biden. But again, to be fair to them, even though I think they are probably overestimating Harris, just like they overestimated Biden, it's clearly like if this was 2020, they'd probably have, and this was Harris versus Trump, they'd probably have her up like by 7 or 8 in the general. Just that's how bad they were in 2020. So I know people are saying, well, this is Quinnipiac, they're crazy left wing. But I think we even saw when it was Biden versus Trump before Biden dropped out, Quinnipiac, to be fair, their polls were a lot more in line or at least better. I think they're still slanted to the left for sure. And Trump could be up. But even like in a general popular vote sense, if Trump's losing by a point, that's beautiful. He's going to win the Electoral College, basically, no doubt. So even in that sense, this is why it's such great news for Trump. Whether he's down by 1, 2, or even 3 because of the polling error factored into it. He could even be down by 4 or 5. I think it'd be fine in terms of just a general head-to-head popular vote because we have to understand with the polling error and how they underestimate Trump by like 2 or 3 points on average. You look at the election against Hillary and with Biden, it was 3 points in terms of popular vote, how much they underestimated him by. Trump could be down by an average of 4 or 5, which is I think basically impossible. It's just not gonna. It's just so hard to see Trump losing this election because let's say what is a worst case scenario in terms of just a general head to head popular vote going into election night for Trump, him being down 2.5. I mean, this was Kamala Harris's big thing where they spent all this money, they invested everything, they kept her hidden. It was all positive, 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 and she's still only up in the net by a point and a half on Real Clear Politics, and that's probably going to be dropping. But even if it stays at a point and a half, that really means that Trump is up based on a number of factors. Number one, if he loses the popular vote by a point and a half, he wins the Electoral College. Number two, he's probably doing a lot better than that because, again, they underestimate Trump in many of these polls. So this is why these numbers are so good. And you're starting to see, I mean, you're going to have to wait a lot of these things and use underlying metrics because they've gotten Trump wrong 2 times now. And that's why Nate Silver now, even though you've got these liberals saying, well, if you look at all the polls and it's all very close, you could argue maybe Harris, it's a 50-50. It's really not 50-50 because this is what happens with Trump where they underestimate him. If it's 50-50, Trump's really got like an 80-90% chance to win. If you want Harris to be up, she would have to be up decisively in a lot of these swing states. The few swing states that I will say that have had accurate, at least relatively accurate polling, North Carolina's got decent. Oh, actually, North Carolina, I take that back, really doesn't have good polling. But Georgia has relatively accurate polling, and we've seen Harris do a bit better. So if you are the Democrats, that would be a state you'd be encouraged by. Maybe Nevada, maybe Arizona. I mean, all these states are so close. It's very hard to analyze this when you've got like Trump leading by 0.3, 0.4. You have to just base it off of history. And I think Nate Silver, and I said yesterday, I think a lot of these models are going to start flipping and going in favor of Trump by like 53 to 60%. It's never going to be anything crazy. Like, this is what American politics are. There are two huge parties. They spend an F ton of money on these elections. The Democrats are going to be spending millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. It's not like Trump's going to have a 90% chance to win. That's just impossible because of the amount of money that the Democrats spend. It's just the sheer craziness of it. And also the Democrats overpoll anyways, just like we saw in 2016 and 2020, which would really hurt the idea of Trump running away with it. Now, he was running away with it against Biden, but a lot of that was the Democrats saving their money because they knew they were going to force Biden out right back in June when like there were formulas and models. Like the Economist, I believe, had Trump at around an 83% chance to beat Biden when he was just, I mean, he was up by like 4 or 5 in basically all the swing state polls. When that happens, it's over. There's just no chance. And again, a lot of that was them just not investing money into Biden's campaign. The donors said, we're done. We're sick of it. Biden's not winning. So it is understandable. But either way, this is big stuff. You want to talk about a change over 2 weeks. This is very important that people understand this. This is why everyone always asks, like Poly Market, Trump was just up by 5. Now he's down by 1. Guys, these things fluctuate. But the point is, as long as Trump stays within like 5 to 10%, like within shouting distance, like even if it was at like 56 to 42, I feel very confident in Trump winning the election based on how much Trump gets underestimated. As long as it's not like something 80 to 20. I mean, even in that scenario, you had Hillary with there were things that had Hillary at like a 98% chance. You had Biden at like an 85% chance. Yes, Biden won, but it was by the skin of his teeth. It was very, very close. So at the end of the day, a lot of these states, people say, oh, it's going to be like 30 or 40,000 votes. I necessarily don't think so. I think Trump's going to take a state like Pennsylvania by about a 1.5, which is more than that, which is at least decently sizable. He won North Carolina by 1.3 in 2020. I think he could win like a state like Pennsylvania by 1.3 to 1.5. Wisconsin, I think he wins for sure. Michigan's going to be tougher, but based on all of these numbers, it does seem like Trump at this point is trending in the right direction. And again, as long as he keeps it relatively close, based on the polling error in 2020, along with his better improved favorability rating, which is going to help him. And I know Harris now has a better rating. They've all come around her. But let's get to the debate and really expose her. Normally when these debates happen, I know we kind of got spoiled in June because the Democrats admitted that Biden got crushed in that debate. That part of that was their strategy because they wanted to force Biden out after he lost the debate. Normally with these debates, you'll have all the Republicans saying that Trump won, and you'll have all the Democrats saying that Kamala won. Now, again, we'll have to see how it gets formatted, but my guess when it comes to the debate is they will compare Kamala's performance to Biden's, which is obviously ridiculous, but they're doing it to make sure that, oh, Kamala's better than Biden, so she performed better and she had a better debate. That's what they're going to do. I could pretty much guarantee it. So they're going to use this like red hair and, oh, let's compare to Kamala to the absolute worst and she'll do better and then it'll make her look better. It's ridiculous. But again, with debates, normally how it is Republicans say Trump won, Democrats say Harris won. That's normally how it goes. Very rarely will you get, and I don't think you're going to get this even if Harris has a meltdown, unless it's like really noticeable because they've hitched their wagon to Harris. See, with Biden, they could admit, all right, Biden sucked. Let's get him out and move on. Like it wasn't like we're stuck with Biden. He loses the debate. We admit it. That's why I don't think they're going to admit loses the debate, even if she does lose it, because they're stuck with Harris. They can't replace Harris. It's too late in the game. And they've already replaced one candidate. How big of a charade would it be if they replaced another? It's absurd. So I think the debate is important, but I think you're going to get a lot of, oh, we'll have to see in terms of the exit polls and everything like that. I'll talk about the debate a lot as it gets closer, but these are good numbers for Trump, and I do think Trump does have a serious shot at winning the popular vote. I do think it's important to win the popular vote. I always say that, but at the end of the day, really, honestly, it really is not important because that's just something that they always say. Oh, but Trump never won the popular vote, and it is quite annoying to hear that. A lot of that is from, I would imagine, a lot of illegal immigrants voting in California and New York. And if liberals want to argue with me on that, then why not pass the SAVE Act that prevents illegal immigrants from voting by forcing you to show your ID at the polls? So you're telling me illegals aren't voting, so then why not pass the act? So see, this is how ridiculous it is. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.